O Pioneers is a novel about a young woman named Alexandra Bergson, who builds a life for herself through hard work and determination as a pioneer. She inherits her father's farm and, despite the odds, makes a living for herself and her brothers. Alexandra grows up in a time when women are expected to get married, have children, and take care of the house while the husband provides for the family. This is the opposite of what Alexandra feels called to do. She shows her independence by doing the work that men have always been meant to do at this time. She does not care what society thinks of her as a hard-working woman. She cares about providing for her loved ones and breaking those societal norms. Willa Cather's interpretation of space was the impact that society was having on women and showing a strong female character who is not scared to step out of the boundaries that were set by those around her. This is shown when Alexandra inherits the farm, and instead of selling it or expecting her brothers to run it, she steps up and handles it on her own. She set an example for women who wanted to break free from the status quo. Nature, our teacher. Alexandra found beauty in what others thought to be a lost cause. She was able to ignore the opinions of her land made by other people in order to cultivate new crops. People always thought that it would be no use for her to farm the land, but growing the crops taught her patience and determination. Walt Whitman had a similar relationship with nature. This is seen in his poem Song of Myself, when he says, "The play of shine and shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag, the delight alone or in the rush of the streets, or along the fields and hillsides. The feeling of health, the full noon trill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun." Dangerous spaces. Alexandra is extremely determined when she puts her mind to something, but this can have negative side effects. Overworking can lead to back and neck pain, fatigue, and the stalling of productivity. We all need a break after a long period of time working. If Alexandra works too hard, her land could become as barren as a side effect. This is much like the landscape in Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Fall of the House of Usher, which says, "During the whole of a dark, dull, and soundless day in the autumn of the year, when the clouds hung oppressively low in the heavens." Small towns. Alexandra was raised in Hanover, Nebraska, a small town where everybody knows everybody. Everyone was a pioneer, and that brought the community together. This was important for Alexandra because she knew that she was able to call on them for help if needed, and they provided a great sense of community and support. This small town feel reminds me of A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. He writes that when Miss Emily Grierson died, our whole town went to her funeral. The entire town knew her and all showed up to celebrate her life in the town. Migration. Alexandra was a pioneer. Her father was an immigrant who had dreams of starting a farm in the United States. Once in America, he took his family to Nebraska to be some of the first pioneers there. It takes bravery to make this kind of change in order to give a great life to his family. This is similar to the experience that Jhumpa Lahiri had, as written in his book, The Interpreter of Maldives. He says, "I lived in London, in Finsbury Park, in a house occupied entirely by penniless Bengali bachelors like myself, at least a dozen and sometimes more. This shows that immigrating to a new country is not always easy. Like how Alexandra's father's land was not growing enough crops. But through hard work, you can make it."